Okay, let's call this October 19th regular Newton Falls Council meeting to order. So anybody that's present, if you could turn your cell phones off or set them to vibrate, and let's stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Continue to stand for a quick prayer. Precious Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to join together to be about your business, to care for the business of our community. We pray that you are with us and you guide us, and it's just a good meeting tonight, dear Lord, enjoyable for all. We do pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Roll call.
Waddell.
Here. Here.
Braymeyer. Here. Alberini.
Here.
Zimmerman.
Here.
Bariak.
Here.
Okay.
Is there any water tonight?
We'll have to do something else to get some.
Okay. We have this special presentation. Do we need to make a motion to waive the rules before we do so?
No, it's in the right location.
Okay,
No.
it's good.
You need to leave.
But we do need to have some individuals to be switched out.
Right.
Okay. Hey. Hey, Adam, can you do me a big favor? Can you look in the kitchen at that humming fridge in there? And I think there's some bottles of water in there. When you come back in, can you bring Mr. Bariak one if you don't mind?
Where's he going?
A couple guys are leaving, so these guys can come in, so we're not over the max for the presentation. These guys can stay.
Oh, I'm not leaving.
No, you don't have to. He's got 4 guys that are.
Morning, Commissioner, Mr. Engineer.
Good evening.
Okay. Step right up here. Mr. Chairman, may I have the floor for a minute?
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, what's taking place right now is I'm making a presentation of a special award for Randy Smith, our county engineer, and Dan Polifka, our county commissioner, because about 2 weeks ago, they engaged in what I described as an act of great courage and protection. And what I mean by that is they passed a resolution allowing a joint Ohio Public Works Commission application joint with the City of Newton Falls to be passed by the commissioners, which means it goes down to Columbus to do one thing: save our Mahoning River through the implementation of the Scott Street project. And as a result of that, the drinking water for our citizens will be fresher, the recreational areas will be more enjoyable, and the fact is that from an environmental standpoint, the Scott Street project is one that's so vital that a judge several years ago actually issued an order related to it to make sure the river could be protected. Now that takes a lot of cooperation, it takes a lot of money, and you can't do it if you're little old Newton Falls just by ourselves. And we're so delighted that Commissioner Polifka stepped up to the plate, as did our county engineer, Randy Smith, and that's why at this time I'm proud to present to each of them. If you'll take one of these and hold it up one hand, and a special proclamation in the other.
Guardian of the river.
Okay, Randy, that is for you. Ladies and gentlemen, the proclamations that these 2 gentlemen have in their hand, and we're using that camera, by the way, Randy and Dan, the little robotic camera over there, and members of council, Mr. Mayor, this is a presentation called the Guardian of the River Award. And the city manager's office intends to present this every single year because those 2 tributaries that go through Newton Falls provide us really the lifeblood of our community, and it distinguishes us from other communities. There's nothing like a waterway that says you've got something special in your community, And each year we'll present the Guardian of the River Award, and they've been presented to our county commissioners and to our county engineer. And Randy Smith, the engineer, and Commissioner Polifka have taken the time out of their very busy schedules to accept this, to confirm their dedication to our river. And Commissioner Polifka, I'll turn it over to you for a couple of brief remarks.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's an honor for me to receive this Guardian of the River award, and I want to thank the council and city manager and the mayor, Mayor Klein. Always try to protect the river, and we're making great strides on improving the river with our kayaking and things of that nature too, also, that are getting very popular in Trumbull County. So however we can help with the water and making it cleaner, and we're just proud to do so. And I want to accepting this, and my colleagues couldn't make it, or they're on their way. Commissioner Fuda and Commissioner Cancel Mesa, thank you as well.
Sure.
Thank
All right. Great. And County Engineer Randy Smith, you've been familiar with this project ever since you took over the reins over there. And you didn't waste any time getting this thing going, did you?
Thank you. And again, thank you, Mayor, administration, and council. Obviously, we've had a great working relationship with your city manager on several projects, and we look forward to moving this project forward as well. I know Mr. Lynch has had great success down at the OPWC, and I think this project will fall in line as well based upon the importance of it. So again, truly appreciate the award, truly appreciate everything you do for the county as well. And this is certainly a good project moving forward. So I'd like to thank Dave again personally, just for his thought in all of this, these programs and so forth. Thank you.
All right. Members of council, please join me in a round of applause. Please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, no, sure, buddy.
Mr. Smith, I didn't know you were going to be here tonight, but I do want to say thank you to your guys. They did a tremendous job on the ditches on 534. They did an excellent job. Thank you so much.
Randy, you have
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my remarks.
Okay, thank you. Either does Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Madam Clerk, Mr. Law Director,
Mayor, you want to see him? You want to come out?
Mayor, I think you should be proud of that photo.
Yeah, go ahead.
Everybody, it doesn't matter.
Oh, he's done.
Resume the position.
Thank you.
All right, are we ready for public comments? As a reminder, they're limited to agenda items. So state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Your Honor, at this time, I don't have any text messages, but I dare say I did receive a communication from Brian Kropp earlier today indicating he did want to speak. So what I will do, with the permission of the chair, last time I did this, he said he really didn't want to speak, but that may not necessarily be the case this evening, and out of an abundance of caution, I will dial him up.
Speakerphone.
It is on speaker.
Hello?
Yes.
Mr. Crop,
Brian,
you're
John,
on
you
the
getting
line.
this on the speaker? Hold on a second, Brian.
It's on.
Okay, go ahead, Brian. We're at the council meeting, and I've dialed you in.
What am I speaking for here on, Dave, since you guys wouldn't let me in the meeting? What am I talking about? What part of the meeting are we in? What section? What is this?
You're in the, I believe we're in the,
This is the public comments.
which public comments
The
on
first-
agenda items?
Oh, so even though I requested in advance, according to our codified ordinances, and sent a message to the mayor that he accepted and understood, you're denying me my 10 minutes to speak on agenda items? Is that correct?
What will have to
Mayor?
take place here, Mr. Crop? I had discussed with them, and since it was just...
I can't, Mr. Mayor, I hear you talking, but I can't understand what you're saying. It's so muffled. I have no idea what you're saying.
All right,
It sounds like you're giving me some kind of an excuse about how you talk to somebody,
Turn it up
but
a little bit so the rest of the public can hear what he's saying. Can you get it a little bit louder?
Yeah, John, can you improve the
Sounds like he has
speaker over there?
scream.
all right, can you hear me?
I can hear you better.
Okay. To give you a 10 minutes, I can't waive the rules on myself. I have to go to the council and see if we get a motion and a second and a vote on that.
Can you show me or tell me where that says that, where it says that's how it works in the codified ordinances? Because it doesn't say that anywhere in the codified ordinances. So if you could show me where it says that, I'd appreciate it. Do you know the codified ordinances, sir?
Yes.
So you're aware of the fact that I can request, and anybody can request 10 minutes, a 10-minute allotment on any agenda topic.
No, that's not true.
There's no approval needed. There's no approval from council or vote from council. It's public comments. It's a presentation.
You don't just come into the meeting an hour beforehand and you can't just, request 10 minutes, Mr. Crop. And that's why I have to come to the council and get the approval.
Well,
Where does it say that?
When you don't,
You're making this up.
How much time does he have left?
we went through this before, when you don't get the agenda till 3:30, 4 o'clock.
All I hear is Dave talking about how much time I have. This is a joke. I can't hear anything. I can't see what's going on. You guys don't know what's going on. And the police chief assaulted me outside the meeting, and I've already filed a report. I've got a detective calling me. So the police chief assaulted me to keep me out of the meeting. So this is what you guys have. This is what's happening now. This is what you guys have caused.
To give him the 10 minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Shocker.
All right, well, motion,
Somehow I need a motion, even though it doesn't state that I need a motion. You guys need, Mayor, I suggest you learn the ordinances, sir. You don't seem to understand what your job is. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night, and I will be pressing charges against the village and against the chief for assault and for denying me my First Amendment right to attend this meeting as a member of the media. Thank you all. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
thank you.
He has disconnected, Mr. Chairman. I will check to see if there are any other requestors. There are not.
Okay, then we'll go into reports. Mr. Zimmerman, do you have anything for Ward 1?
Nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Mr. Bariak, anything for Ward 2?
The only thing I'd like to say is I got a card of appreciation from one of my constituents. I'm not going to say who it was. It was laying here. I do appreciate everything that they do, even if I don't return another thank you note. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Waddell, do you have anything for Ward 3?
Yeah, last week we had a economic development meeting over at Robbie Lee's. It was a really good meeting. Mr. Blair, our state rep, was there. Mr. DeCristofaro, Shane McMillan from the chamber, and Guy Coviello from the chamber. Mr. Lynch, Mr. Alberini, and myself. It was a real good meeting, a lot of discussion. We talked about what was going on with the autonomous vehicles. Mr. Alberini, do you want to add to that or anything?
Yeah, it was pretty in-depth. We're just trying, we were making a lot of progress up until the COVID issue started, and we're trying to recapture that synergy that took place. But we're talking about the development of Route 5 still, and one of the byproducts of that meeting is the ordinance on the agenda in talking about new home construction, which is something that we've talked in conference with the Chamber of Commerce for the last couple of years. It's a great idea. It's a wonderful idea. So anyway, all in all, a very fruitful meeting.
Good. There's also a ordinance on the books or a state statute there where people who are remodeling their homes can apply for a forgiveness on their property tax. There's a form they need to fill out. I've talked to some of the people in the 3rd Ward that are doing some remodeling. I mean, not everybody qualifies. You have to fill out the paperwork, but you can ask to have a percentage of your property tax set aside for a certain period of time during your remodeling, and after that for a couple, depends on how much money you spend. So there's a couple of programs out there for property owners to work with. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Ms. Braymeyer, do you have anything for Ward 4?
No, I don't. Not at this time.
Okay, Mr. Albrini?
Yeah, I'm going to give Dave Davis and I got a brain cramp, Miss Ella on their kind of watching Ward 1 as far as like a block watch or neighborhood watch. The signs they put out, Say Something, are awesome. David had contacted me the other night in regards to a situation we have on Broad Street. I don't know if I should address it now during my comments or wait till city manager speaks. It's in regards to speed signs, adding some speed signs out.
Yeah, no, you can address it now.
Okay, so David mentioned to me last night, he got a hold of me last night and mentioned, he asked if we could throw up a couple of more of the 25 mile per hour speed signs out further west of us due to the fact that people are coming in towns and they're coming in like a jet on a runway. So that was one of the things. Economic meeting, yeah, good. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anything from the Finance Director?
No, her report is present. She has no remarks, though.
Yeah, she's in here.
Is she available for comments?
If you want to, I can bring her right in, sure, by telephone, yes.
I'd like to ask if there's been any update on the motion that was tabled about the 30% for the business owners. Has she had a chance to do anything on that?
I will put her on the line here in 1 second.
Finance Committee has not met.
Finance Committee hasn't met further yet.
Mr. Chairman, do you desire for me to bring her in, or what's your wish?
We haven't met, Mr. Mayor.
Does anybody on council have anything that they want to discuss with her, or, even with you not meeting, Mr. Bariak, Mr. Waddell, Mr. Albrini?
Nothing, sir.
Okay, if there's nothing to address, then no.
Okay.
Mr. Law Director, do you have anything to report?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Let me start with the most recent. Our list for special presentation lists special presentation by staff members or invited consultants is how it's written in the charter. I find it very frustrating. I'm sure members of this council find it very frustrating that we're supposed to have everything memorized to answer these questions. The place I went to law school has a building called Law Library. It's a very large building, and there's a lot of books in there. And you don't memorize everything if you look up in a moment or two. We're not supposed to have everything memorized. So it's a shame when these people say something like, you don't know, Mr. Mayor, I believe you were attacked this evening saying, you don't even know your own codified ordinances. When I first got this job 10 years ago, codified ordinances, I spent a weekend trying to get through just the criminal ones, and I barely got through it. I don't know how you can get through it all. You look things up, that's how the job works. Secondly, I want to deal, I don't want to, but I have to deal with Facebook. I'm on Facebook, and my Facebook life is to promote my music and talk to a few of my friends. I don't go to the local stuff that's there all the time, but I was approached by multiple people last week. And I will just suggest that I have and no matter what I do, if I address it, I am legitimizing it and trying to threaten people, and I'm trying to make a big deal about it. If I ignore it, all the lies I continue to put on tend to be truthful. And I can't let that happen. And I will specify why. You can have a difference of opinion with me, and I don't have a problem with that. You can even dislike some of the things that I do. I don't have a problem with that. But the reason people were in the street were approaching me is someone was indicating that I am a liar and doing illegal activities. And I have a business career. I have no criminal record. I have no situation where I am out there devious to people. This is the 4th council that I've worked for. The faces have changed over the last 10 years, and by and large, this council has got excellent advice, legal advice from me. I will never sit here and say for the last 10 years I didn't make a mistake, because that's never going to happen. But I'm proud of my record, and I'm just going to suggest that if you're attacking me by saying I'm a liar and hurting my business and my professional reputation, there can be repercussions for that. I hate to talk about Facebook. I don't want to be drawn down to that level, but as I said before, if I don't address it, people think it's true. Now they do address it. I know what they're going to say, because they win either way. If we take care of something that's like, oh, he's threatening us, I'm not. I'm stating a fact, and I'm a factual person. If you attack my business reputation, I'm going to have to deal with it. If you want to put on your BS about you're a better lawyer than me because of things you do, that's fine and dandy. I got the law degree. I'm comfortable with what I do. I sleep well at night. I apologize for the rant to all, but I felt it had to be done at some point. I thank you for your time, Mr. Mayor. I'm available for questions.
Okay. Mr. Bariak,
I have a couple questions.
First address. Okay.
Mr. Fritz, second time I've been notified that this sunshine law training has to be done once during your term, first or second. This is my second term. Does that mean I have to do it this next month?
I would think so, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
By next month?
No, once during the term, once during the 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm saying, do I have to, I'm only in my first, not even done with my first year of my term. Can I take it next year?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's what I'm understanding, but it's been brought up twice now. The other thing is, and I'm not disparaging you, sir, I asked your last council meeting if you could show me what law. There is no law. I haven't been able to find one. What, you said it was changing every day, and I asked you if you could get me something that, you said something about notification. There was something about Mr. Whistler said something that it hadn't changed, there hadn't been any, out of 5,000, not citations, 5,000 reports, nobody had been cited. And you said something about the law was changing every day, and I asked you last council meeting, could you please get that? I haven't got that yet. That's all I want to know. You said you would get it for me.
Sir, I did not say I was going to get it for you. And let me explain in full, and I'll try to be clear. And I don't mean to be shouting, sir, but you have difficulty hearing. I want to make sure you hear it today. When I use the word law, it may mean a regulation passed by an administrative agency. It may mean the state law is written by our state government. It may be the law is written by the federal government. It may be a regulation written by the state government, and you have to include every court involved. When I use the word laws changing, I was including the health department orders that were put on and placed by the governor. It's the local county health department in charge of enforcing those regulations to me. So when I use the word laws, I'm incorporating all those things. Part of my job is to have the experience and knowledge to know how all these meld together and make rules and regulations for the city. And I said to you that the law you're asking for doesn't exist as a law. And everyone who's not a lawyer wants to say, thou shalt never have more than 10 people. And I'm going to give you one short example, and I do not want to sound like I'm condescending, but I believe I need to have people understand something. When God gave us the 10 Commandments, and one says, thou shalt not kill, we've gone through many things in this world's history where killing can be done in God's name. There's so many things that change over time. If you ask me the law, it says thou shalt not kill. We have just wars, we have self-defense people, so I'm picking that as an example so people can see the law is a living, breathing thing, and many things come together to answer.
Yes.
I'm the lawyer. What we have is Mr. Wilster sent us a letter, sent an email, and we've had phone conversations, and he said, we're going to soon have to give you a citation. We've been giving you a warning. I have the email. I believe I sent copies of the email in public record requests. Mr. Lynch had a conversation with the head director, and he laid out the steps process. They didn't say, at your next meeting, we're going to give you a citation, and the meeting after that, because I don't think they know their own schedule, how things are going to be done. But the process is warnings, written citation, lawsuits. At some point on our third or fourth warning, I believe it's prudent to go back to the 10-member meeting. I don't like this any better than you do. We have technology issues to deal with. We have the inability to have people come in and speak directly. But what we have, in my legal advice, is we keep it to 10 people in a room until we get something different.
I'm not trying to be on the wrong page with you. I understand there was a thing from the health board and from the state back in April. All I wanted to see is where has it changed? Has it changed any since because I said we were doing things one way. Show me what's changed. You said I have not seen emails where it's changed. Mr. Whistler has not sent anything that I saw a thing from Mr. Whistler. I don't know. I don't know. All I want to know is what's changed. I asked you that.
The health department orders and the enforcement.
Can you show me that?
I didn't finish answering, sir. Huh? No, I don't have time to print out the 27 different ones.
I asked you that a meeting ago. That would have been time enough to
hold
get
on.
No, sir. No.
Mr. Fritz, finish up answering the question. Let me see if somebody else has a first for the law director, and then we can go back to a second if you need a second.
The short answer is there's been about 50 or 60 health department edicts, and you got to go back and sort through them, and it takes forever. Once you get to 2 or 3 that apply to us, then you have to go and find out what the enforcement stages are and go back to the cases that are appearing around the state of Ohio. It's not where, here's the law, go to A, section 12, number 2. It's not going to exist. But there have been multiple changes. If he would like me to print out the copies of the health department changes from April to now, I will see that they end up in your mailbox.
Okay, Mr. Albrini, did you want to first address?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Fritz. I want to go back and talk about the lawsuit that was brought against the Village of Newton Falls in regards to overruling council's vote. Can you tell me some specifics? The Supreme Court ruled 4-0, et cetera, et cetera.
There was multiple sections to the people putting around the petitions indicating that everything's referendable. And ultimately, the Supreme Court has decided very clearly that many things are not referendable. They are administrative in nature. And what's most frustrating is one of the sections was something that we had just 2 years ago. So we had to go in and defend. Unfortunately, it was on my contract, so I was unable to represent the city on that, and we incurred pretty large legal fees with another law firm to represent us at the Supreme Court.
Thank you. In your opinion, this referendum, is it a test to try to overrule the vote of the people as us, the elected officials, making those decisions?
Correct. They're taking steps. There's multiple things happening, but the short version, sir, is when this council is elected, they have specific things that the citizens can override you on. And those are certain decisions involving the budget, certain decisions, non-administrative. If you create a law, if you create a franchise, if you create a fine, those things are something that the citizens have the right, if they feel that you are overstepping your bounds, can do. But the day-to-day administration of the building, that is not something that's automatically referendable. As a matter of fact, it is a referendable. And we're getting the repeat decisions, and again, people are acting pro se, and we have to defend it. They are definitely nuisance lawsuits. We've had multiple ones, and we get nowhere. We go through, and when we spend time, energy, and money, they come back and say, we are not ignoring the citizens, and the Supreme Court said we're not ignoring the citizens. They're saying, you got to be able to run your city and make your administrative decisions. It wasn't even a long discussion. They said, this is an administrative act.
Okay.
We can't do
it. And I'm not, obviously, I don't have a Juris Doctor in law like you guys do. So Newton Falls is a defendant, and the people who filed the lawsuit pro se are the plaintiffs, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
What ends up happening is because the petition amount is not a large number of people. Mm-hmm. We have a small amount of people costing a large amount of people a lot of money on something that they elected you people to do.
Okay. So who are the people who filed that petition with the Supreme Court?
I'm not sure off the top of my head because there should be 2 signatories. I believe it was
Lawsuit and...
Oh, they were the named parties, it's Mr. Luanawaso and Mr. Leishak. They were the ones that were the named parties in the Supreme Court action.
So the other individuals involved with this, like Tessa Spletcher, Brian Kropp, Councilman Bariak.
Each page had a different signature on who gathered them.
I wasn't, what was my name brought into that for?
I'm speaking, John, excuse me.
Okay.
Why bring my name in it? I wasn't involved in it.
Hold on.
So let me ask you.
Throw names around?
Stop.
So,
Answer the question, and then your address will be done.
What was the final cost of that to the village of Newton Falls?
Well, it was at least $20,000.
$30,000.
30.
How much?
$30,000.
$30,000.
I heard it was 40.
Mr. Mayor, I have the floor.
I don't know if it's true or not. Did you say 30, I believe?
All right, stop. He's got the floor. You got about 10 seconds. You finish up.
So by this action, by these individuals, it cost the village taxpayers $40,000. Is that correct?
Yes, and those petitions are records of the Board of Elections.
Okay.
I mean, you can see who signed to be on it, who are the people that were circulators.
Okay, so the cost is 30 grand then?
Yeah, at least.
All right, thank you.
Okay, does anybody else?
I don't have nothing else.
Okay, hold on a second. Does anybody have a first over here?
I want a second address.
Okay, you want a second? You got the floor,
First of
Mr.
all, I
Mayor.
don't know why my name's thrown into the referendums. I had nothing to do with that. I'm not here to defend myself. I do have a different position on it. The city spent $40,000 of taxpayers' money so that people wouldn't have the right to vote. In other words, you won is right. We won. We denied the people the right to vote. But the one thing I want to bring up, one other question, Mr. Fritz. I have emails where I asked you, and I asked the city manager, how much money, income, and how did we have gotten from the sewer and water from the motels versus the income we've received? I've never got that to this day. Why am I, being a fiduciary of this community, that means a trustee of the people's money, being denied facts and figures? And if I don't ask for it properly, you can advise me, or the city manager was told to advise you so I could ask for it right, and I wasn't told I was wrong. I was never given that. Why am I being denied these figures, sir?
I will first start
our
with
annexation team, that I know nothing about it. I mean, you understand? I'd like to know what we're doing. I'd like to know what is our annexations paying off. What are we doing all this for if we're not making any money?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. I think.
What's your point of order? Yeah, stay on topic.
What's your point of order?
Address
Mr.
the law director. Ask your question to the law director.
I asked you, why haven't I been given that information?
I'd like, Mr. Mayor, if I could address this first part of his question. He's asking about why we're spending money in order to take away the right to vote to the people. Sir, if you look at our ordinances that are scheduled for this evening, even the simple ones such as ordinance for zoning specific lots, the ordinance regarding a vacation of port, if your argument is that we're wasting time and energy and money every time we pass something, don't give them the right to vote, then we don't need to be here at all. We just have the people go and we'll go and vote twice a year and try to pass everything. Unfortunately, the system of running a business has to have a representative democracy. It's a republic at this stage. Not everyone votes. They vote for their council person, and the council person handles the administrative acts. So I don't believe it's a waste of money trying to make sure this council and every council before and every council after has the right to do their administrative work. That's my job. You can say I'm taking away the right to vote, but I disagree. They have the right to vote for who sits in these seats every 2 years. The second part of your question, sir, there is an issue regarding utility payments in the sunshine laws that don't allow us to give out certain information. And unfortunately, because the annexation has such few customers, we can't give that number as a whole number to someone. Now, if we go to executive session and want to set something up, we can probably have a conversation if you give our finance director time and specifically on that, and we can try to give some ballpark figures. But I will stress, we're in executive session when that occurs, and that information must remain in executive session.
What the problem I have with is that I'm not told what you just said, so I don't look a stupid on the floor. That way I have time to research it.
Well, I will tell you that when the question came to me from the staff, I explained to them what the sunshine law restriction was. I never came back and spoke to you thereafter. I'm assuming the administrative staff took care of that.
Okay, anybody else have a second?
Mr. Mayor, since we're talking about the annexation, I just want to add this. I feel very comfortable from the information that I know. I don't have any specific document in front of me. As the law director said, a lot of this is confidential, but being part of the committee, we do get some information. But I assure you that the first 2 years of the annexation have yielded $100,000 either in income tax, kilowatt hour tax, or other taxes, which is way more than we have spent to, bring them in. And the discount or the forgiveness of the surcharge, this covers all of it. And it's going to take 6 years for Venture Plastics to completely be on board. But in 2026, we're going to have collected already over $700,000 in income taxes on a small investment and a surcharge forgiveness for those businesses. It's a great investment, and I'm proud that I was able to do that.
Okay, Mr. Zimmerman or Councilwoman Braemar, did you have anything before we move on?
I have something to say. When this all started about these people, we weren't going to let them vote and they wanted their rights. And John just said that he had nothing to do with it. Well, he was at the rally, so I saw him sitting there.
Ms. Braemar, is this directed to the...
Point of order.
Hold on. Is this directed to the law director?
You're pointing fingers at a councilman, just like Mr. Alberini. I can hold up any...
Both of you. If it's not directed to the...
I'm tired of being accused. Mr. Law
It's his report.
Will you please tell them not to accuse a council member? It's in council rules. We will not make...
If nobody has anything for the law director, we're going to move on to the mayor's report. Does anybody else have anything for the law director?
Yes, I do. Mr. Fritz, I think you're doing a great job for the city and its residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. All right, mayor's report. The only thing I didn't have anything pre-planned, was that, before being the mayor, I'm a resident here, friend to individuals, a neighbor to individuals, a local shopper and things like that. So my point is I want good for my community. Things that work out well here, if the community works out well, I live in a nice community, I want a nice community for my children. That's why I ran for mayor. It's my heart's desire that we have open meetings, everything that we can do to bring people in, but right now it's not possible. Each day I'm looking at ideas, calling the city manager, asking him, hey, can we build an aquarium around the seats in here? Can we put plexiglass? Can we do this? Can we do that? I'm coming up with ideas. I'm trying. Right now, I haven't hit the bullseye with any of them, but it is my desire, and I think it's the right way to hold a meeting that individuals can come here and we can dialogue back and forth. That's the way that you come up with solution. You don't always agree at first, but you're this far apart, and whatever you have a problem with my idea, you come up with a suggestion, and we meet somewhere in the middle, and that's the way that you come up with great ideas, is with compromise. But right now, it's not possible, but we're working on it, and that is my desire. And with tonight, what took place, the 10-minute rule, and I can tell you, I would apologize to Mr. Kropp. I would like nothing more than Mr. Kropp to have got his full 10 minutes, but you're looking at the rules, it's in advance. in texting me 30 minutes in advance, just, it's not sufficient. I'm not able to come in here. Somebody then, what if it's 15 minutes? If somebody shouts from the parking lot in advance, Mayor Klein, I want to speak. You know, I can't come in here and say, well, in advance. I can't work all the rules. I'm not the one, you know, individual here. It needs to go in front of council to see if you're able to do so, and that wasn't the case. I do apologize for that. I'm looking forward to the day when you can sit in here and, you know, ask questions. We can dialogue back and forth, and that's really all I have to say.
Do we have the city manager? Do we have him yet? I know we had the law director.
No, he's next.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns for the mayor before I move on to the city manager? No? Okay, city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I would just refer you to the written report that I filed. I have no oral presentation this evening. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns for the city manager?
Yes. About the special presentation, I was happy for the river, but I'll probably talk about it as, why are we has the township been involved in this too, sir? In this, I know the presentation didn't have anything, why, is there anything else going to be brought up tonight about us helping the township or anything?
You asked if the township was involved. That was your first question. The second one is...
No, I mean...
I want to answer your question. I just don't know what it is.
I was told by you that we were going to talk tonight a little bit too about the Scott Street Sewer Project. Are we going to talk about that tonight anymore?
Not any further. We had a presentation regarding Scott Street with the commissioner and the county the county engineer. So I have no intention of any further discussion on Scott Street.
Oh, in other words, you weren't going to bring it up tonight? I thought you said it was going to be talked about. I didn't see it. What changed?
Nothing changed. What I indicated to you was that we would have a special presentation regarding Scott Street. We did have a special presentation regarding Scott Street.
Did we have one on Scott Street tonight? Did I miss it?
Yeah, the commissioner came up, Dan Polifica stood right over there, and the county engineer stood right over there, and I handed them the certificate and the award for the guarding of the river.
Well, let me ask you something, Mr. Lynch. This Scott Street Sewer Project, whether we go help them or not, that's their problem, isn't it?
No.
Why is it our problem?
You drink the water that comes from the river where fecal matter is going directly into the Mahoning River, and that's where we get the water that you drink and all of your constituents drink. And if you think that's not your problem, then we've got to have an expression of concern for our own residents.
Well, Mr. Lynch, the only thing I would say to that is this. 5 or 6 years ago, the commissioners all got involved in this. There was a concerted effort with a lot of grants and everything, but it fell apart. But because of I don't know whether it was a bulk meter and tap-in fees and everything. Now, since that time it fell apart, why hasn't the health department made these people upgrade their septic tanks? They don't have to have a sewer district.
Mr. Berry, I'm happy to answer your question, but if
the water's bad, what's the health department not doing their job?
Could you give me the questions just one at a time and then let me answer?
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, I'm just asking you.
Well, you asked 2 questions.
All right, yeah.
Isn't it the health department's business, and why aren't they doing their job? Can I answer both of those before you go on?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know why the health department hasn't intervened, but Jeff Hawkins, who runs our water treatment plant, and I have had extensive conversations about the quality of the water, and Mike Novotny, who's our wastewater treatment expert, as you know. We've had extensive conversations. They have lived in a continuous state of disgust over the fact that this effort to save our pristine waters, from which our drinking water is drawn, has not been accomplished. And I don't know why it fell apart before, but the fact of the matter is it's of great urgency to the health and safety of our citizens in Newton Falls that this matter get resolved. And that's why I'm so happy with the commissioners and the county engineer, all three commissioners unanimously locking arms with the city of Newton Falls and with the township of Newton Township and their participation as well. The county engineer made a point of communicating with the trustees of the township to make sure they're all on board. We have a united front of multiple governments all stepping forward to say we will not stand for the degradation of the river.
Once you finish your point, I'm going to see if somebody else has a first address, and then if you have a second.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, does anybody have a first address for city manager? Did you want a second address, Mr. Bariak?
Yeah, just something to say that we've been drinking that water for years and years and years and years, and no one's told me once it comes out of the water treatment plant it's not high quality. It might cost us more to clean. That's not my point, sir. I like clean water too. I like to be able to have the cleanest water we can. But this is a township problem. And this is a commissioner, the county's problem. And us getting to be involved in this right now, don't you think it's premature? And, well, like I asked you before, if it's so bad, why is the health...
Please, one question at a time. You said, isn't it premature? Now you're asking another question. Just one question at a time. Would that be all right? It's not premature. It's not premature at all. In fact, it's late, horribly late. If the citizens of this community understood the fecal content of that river, they would be disgusted. And in fact, a judge issued an order that that thing be cleaned up. And for us to bury our heads in the sand and pretend like it's none of our business is a fool's game.
Oh, I agree with you, Mr. Lynch. It was a dissent decree, and this just didn't happen overnight.
That's right.
It's been going on and on and on and on. I think the first people should be contacted would be the health department. They should start going and telling these people, hey, maybe that would bring them back to the bargaining table. But this is a township problem. We can't fix our own pipes. We can't do our own infrastructure. We're borrowing money. And now we're going to get involved in something that we don't even know what it's going to cost.
Well, first of all, Mr. Bariak, there is an engineer's estimate of cost on this thing. So for you to say that we don't know how much it's going to cost, those documents are on file with the county commissioner's office right now and at the sanitary engineer's office. They're a matter of public record. So for anyone to say we don't know what it's going to cost, it's just kind of silly. But wait a minute, I'm not done yet. In addition to that, the engineering plans for this were prepared by the county commissioners, and they made a very significant investment in having those plans prepared way back in 2014. The reason that it's not premature and it's wrong to take any other method is go to the county commissioners, look them in the eye, and ask them why they voted unanimously to lock arms with Newton Falls to do this now. Don't argue with me. I didn't pass that resolution. The county commissioners passed that resolution unanimously.
I can remember, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but the $400,000 that the county offered us was nowhere near what we would have lost. Now, have they come up with a new formula? I think this needs to be a lot of, it seems like a dog and pony show before the dog and the pony P.T. Barnum type adventure. You know, we're getting out into outer space. We don't know what we're doing yet. I mean, do we really know what's going to be going on?
Mm-hmm. Well, to answer your question, can I get an answer in somewhere here? Thomas Folk Engineering is taking the lead on behalf of the engineering of this thing. They are the #1 engineering company in the state in terms of getting Ohio Public Works Commission funding. Now, you heard the county engineer talk about the fact that the OPWC would look very kindly on this project. I'm going to tell you something. They absolutely do. The Ohio Public Works Commission considers as its single most paramount objective.
Mr. City Manager, once you wrap up here, then we're out of time here. We're going to go to a... Okay.
I know.
Thank you.
Okay.
3 minutes.
I understand. Sometimes I feel like we're in Congress where the question takes up all the time and then
you talk to his head falls off.
The responder doesn't get a chance. In any case, Mr. Chairman, the commissioners are absolutely dedicated to this project. And our plan is to affirm their faith in the river. And I hope everybody on this council does the same thing.
Okay, Mr. Alberini, did you want to address?
Yeah, and then we'll close this up. City Manager Lynch, I appreciate you taking the bull by the horns in this project. I disagree with my friend, Mr. Bariak. This is a community issue. Whether, due to the fact that Newton Falls draws its water from the river, the river doesn't know whose township and knows whose village and who's black, who's white, who's pink or yellow. So it is a community issue. I think the guys that we have, Jeff Hawkins and Mike Novotny, do a great job in giving us the best water quality they can give us. But I think there's probably, with the way technology is, there's some further improvements that can be made in light of what was done 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So I appreciate moving this off center and getting it done. I think the residents of both the township and also the village will appreciate your actions and also the actions of the commissioners and Randy Smith.
Okay, any other addresses to the city manager? Okay, if not, do we have any changes to tonight's agenda? Okay. Approval of previous minutes. Do we have a motion to approve of the October 5th, 2020 regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Raymeyer,
Yes.
Alberini,
Abstain.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bariak,
Yes.
Waddell.
Yes.
All right, we're on public hearings.
An ordinance 2020-29, an ordinance rezoning specific lots on Arlington Road in the city of Newton Falls.
Yeah, I will double check. No request, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then that, okay, second one.
Ordinance 2020-30, an ordinance amending ordinance 2019-32, vacating a portion of West Liberty.
No request, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then done with the public hearings, and we'll move on to unfinished business.
Ordinance 2020-29, an ordinance rezoning specific lots on Arlington Road in the city of Newton Falls.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any,
I'm sorry, who seconded?
TA.
Mr. Alberini, any discussion? All right,
Alberini,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bariak,
Yes.
Waddell,
Yes.
Raymeyer.
Yes.
okay, passes.
Ordinance 2020-30, an ordinance amending ordinance 2019-32, vacating a portion of West Liberty Street.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Bariak, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. No discussion? Roll call?
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bariak,
Yes.
Waddell,
Yes.
Raymeyer,
Yes.
Alberini.
Yes.
New business.
Ordinance 2020-31, an ordinance creating the position of security guard and establishing a rate of pay.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So move.
Mr. Alberini, do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Braymeyer, any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Bariak?
First of all, I'd like to ask the city manager, it's from $15 to $18 an hour. What's quite a gap? What is it? How do you pay? I run a business, and when they come in and work for me, I either give them 15, or I give them 16, or I don't say, well, come in, I'll give you from $5 an hour to 20. What is it going to be? And why is there such a gap in there?
Okay, that's two questions, I think.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, what we've asked you to pass this evening is a range. That's the way you operate a business. You create a range so that if we decide somebody based on experience deserves a 75% an hour increase, I'd have to come back and pass another piece of legislation we create a range. That's answer to question 1. Number 2, the amount we intend to pay them is $16.50. There are 2 officers that will rotate. Each one of them isn't just a rent-a-security guard. Each one of them is a commissioned, licensed police officer in the state of Ohio, each of which has formerly served as the chief of police in a municipality in this state. $16.50 to stand between a terrorist who wants to do harm to the young ladies in our utility department and such a terrible result that might occur. It's a reasonable rate, but that's what we plan to pay these 2 guys in that range. Now, if we hire someone with less experience at a future date, maybe lower on the range.
Oh, I have some other questions. What other expenses will be involved with this? Will there be a car? Will there be anything else with this, sir?
Yeah, no further expenses. We already have the scanning equipment. We own it for the purposes of metal detection. And the car that would be parked outside is already part of our existing fleet. No additional expenses.
Here's the problem I have. We've had the annex building for years. All it's got is a locked door, and that's where the money's at. The court mandates security, not us. Now, for you and Kathy and maybe, well, if Scope's here, aren't they?
They have had occasion to use our building.
Okay, well, Scope and then the zoning man and the utilities are here. They've been moved here.
Right.
Do you think this is a little bit of overkill for a couple people? And that's the first thing.
That's the first question. Okay. Yeah. I don't think it's overkill, members of council, and here's the reason why. I became the city manager just under 2 years ago and have been holding my breath about the fact that we have been skating on very thin ice. I've inquired over in the utility department how much money at the high water mark is taken in cash in a single day over there. In excess of $20,000 in cash. There are 2 young ladies that process those payments. Quite frankly, I believe their lives have been in danger, and the move to this building gives me the juncture point at which to make sure that they are properly protected, as well as the rest of us. But certainly, it's a good investment. And I will say this much. I've conferred with the police chief, and he highly recommends that we take this action.
Okay. Well, why? We have Scope here. How come they can't pick up a little bit of the cost? Does Scope just come in here for free and use this? They can't help. Where do we get the point where we quit giving everything and nobody else helps us out? That's what I can't understand. Does Scope give us anything for being here?
Do I have the floor again, Mr. Chairman?
I was going to say, we're at 3 minutes, but I want you to answer his question, and then I'll see if anybody has a first address. You're sure. Good.
My view of Scope, and we haven't entered into the official agreement yet with Scope, but my view of Scope is that they're providing a service to us for free. The citizens of Newton Falls that are senior citizens don't have to go to Lordstown anymore. They can come right in their own backyard. I'm excited and privileged about the fact that they are giving us all these services at zero cost. So that's my answer to your question.
I'm asking, are we getting any money from Scope?
No.
Okay, does anybody want to use their first address on this ordinance? No. Did you want a second address, Mr. Boriak?
I don't want to deny anybody any security and all that. Maybe we haven't got this for a long time, but I do believe everybody should pay their own share. We're going to let people in here now for nothing to have banquets and everything else. Where do we draw the line where we, as a village, keep hemorrhaging money without somebody else helping out? I mean, Scope gets federal money. It's not like we're taking it off the poor people that are using it. That money's given for the government to help the people that do carry the ball for them. Is that right or wrong, Mr. Lynch?
Which part of the question, the three questions you just
Does the
asked?
federal government give the money to help Scope operate?
My understanding of the scope funding is that a portion of their money is federal, a portion of their money is county. In addition to that, a portion of their money is contributions. So I believe there's a tri-fold funding mechanism for scope. Not all of it comes from the federal government.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have anything before we vote? Okay, roll call.
Bariak?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes.
Braymeyer?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Okay, pass.
Ordinance 2020-32, an ordinance establishing a new home construction incentive sharing income tax with the Newton Falls School.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Waddell and then Mr. Alberini seconded. Do we have any comments, discussion?
Mr. Mayor, this is a great program for establishing new homes and establishing the income tax. When you do abatements, the state requires that you share your income tax with the school, because the school could receive no taxes, no property taxes at all out of these abatements. And so the state requires that you share the income tax, which is done all over the state, by the way. This is just the way it works. So it's a win-win for everybody. You bring in new homes, there's abatements, and we share the income tax with the schools over a period of time.
Okay, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I'd like to ask the city manager to clarify where it's not the real estate tax then, it's the income tax, and we're going to give a 0.5% back. They're still going to get the real estate taxes. I asked the question, yes.
Okay.
Could you weigh in? Yeah.
Am I recognized to answer?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman? Okay. This abatement program, Mr. Bariak, is where for a 15-year period, if you build a new home and you live in that new home, for a 15-year period, you're paying 0 real estate taxes. And half of the income tax that you create goes to our school system. Right now, the Newton Falls School District, exempted school district, gets 0 income taxes. Under this plan, they get half the income tax. So if someone is, let's say Mr. and Mrs. Engineer, working over at the Lordstown Battery Plant, and they're each making $200,000 a year, half of that income tax generated now goes to the Newton Falls schools. And the reason they're building that home is they say, this is great. I've got to pay income tax anyhow, but I'm not paying any real estate taxes for a 15-year period. By the way, as a footnote to that, I spoke on Friday with the superintendent of the Newton Falls schools. I want you all to understand the pledge I've made, and that is this ordinance takes 2 readings to pass, and I don't want it to go to the second reading, that is, have a second reading, till I've had an opportunity to speak with the superintendent, and with the school board. So
You have had an opportunity, sir?
My plan is to, after passage of a first reading tonight, is to be on the agenda for the Newton Falls Board of Education. I want them to understand it as well, and I think it's only fair.
Let's address, Mr. Mayor.
In other words, you don't know whether the school board's even on board with this?
About a minute.
How much time do I have left?
About a minute.
All right, I want to ask you something. Do we not have a 1% forgiveness tax?
We do.
Okay. How much money do you think versus the real estate taxes versus the income tax are we going to generate?
Well, there are 2 factors in response to that. One is it depends on how much income is in that household. If you have 3 or 4 income earners in a household, it could be significantly more beneficial. But all depends on the numbers. But there's another factor to this that's very important. After the 15 years, the schools get all of the real estate tax, but in addition to that, and one of the main reasons, moving force behind this is to bring students to our school system. If we can get Ryan Homes to build a 500-home development, those are all students that are feeders for revenue into the Newton Falls School District. And quite frankly, Councilman, if we don't do something drastic like this to continue to create new student population, it's going to be difficult for our schools.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Lynch. I'm going to vote no on this tonight because I don't know what the school board thinks of this, and I think it's premature, so I'm going to vote no. I think we're putting the cart before the horse.
Fair enough. I will come back to you with their report.
Suffering. Our schools are suffering. And I wouldn't know, you're talking 500 homes. I think that's being unrealistic.
Before we, I think Mr. Alberini wanted the floor for a first, but here's a thought. I kind of thought this over, the big picture here. And when we look at the property tax that goes to the school, these are homes, say, Green Village. Green Village doesn't exist. So the school is not getting any property tax presently from Green Village. So when Green Village comes in here and for 10 years or 15 years they don't get it, they're not losing anything that they don't currently have. What they will gain will be the small amount or big amount, whatever, we don't know, for income tax, but they won't be receiving the property tax. And they're not getting it right now, so it's really a wash. And the additional point on top of that, just as clarification, this Green Village may not ever come here if it's not for the carrot of no property tax. You know what I'm saying? So we're not taking anything from the school, you know. And I just wanted everybody here to understand it. They're not gaining, but they're not losing. But what has taken place is this is a tool to get individuals to invest in our community to come. And
well,
let
me have him disperse.
If it's in our economic committee meetings the last couple of years, that's one of the things that has come up multiple times. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, we will be the first community in the area to do this. I am not aware of anybody else doing this. So as the mayor said, it is a carrot to get a potential home builder to come into Newton Falls and maybe consider doing a development, maybe a Ryan Homes, maybe a Coke Construction, things like that. Look at zero from zero. So we have to do something to be able to draw landowners and property owners in, and we're talking about upscale housing too. Houses at probably $200,000, $250,000 that would draw a whole new clientele to our village, and I think that's very, very, very important. I'm voting for this. We've talked about it for a couple of years. Dr. Verbanik last month came in and he spoke about it too in regards to their potential investment over on the other side of town there to add to their housing development. So I think it's a great tool. I don't know of anybody else in Trumbull County doing this. I think Cuyahoga Heights in Cleveland and a couple other communities may be doing it right now. But what a great incentive or an economic tool to draw housing starts here to the area.
Okay, is that it, Mr. Alberini?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Zimmerman or Ms. Braymeyer, or did one of you guys want to address?
No.
No? Did you want a second, Mr. Bariak?
Well, I'll tell you what, it makes me want to sell my house. I'm retired when I do retire, because then I won't be paying nothing. You draw a lot of retirees in the town, that's for sure. If you tell somebody, build me a new home and you don't have to pay no property taxes, you ain't got no income, well, that's great. I'm going to sell my house tomorrow and build a new one. I just got to know whether the school system's on board with this.
Well, we're gonna vote correct, and then you're going to talk to the school board before we meet again on it.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Roll call.
Waddell?
Yes.
Braymeyer?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Bariak?
No.
Okay, so the first reading passes.
Resolution 28-2020, a resolution of appreciation to Zachary Savette for his service to the city of Newton Falls as a member of Newton Falls City Council.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, second discussion.
We appreciate Zach's tenure on city council. He brought a lot of knowledge. He's now trying to get a levy passed for the Trumbull County Metro Parks department there. He's doing a great job with those folks. As the commissioner has spoken, a lot more people are kayaking in the area of Newton Falls and Leavittsburg and Warren than ever before, Lake Milton, West Branch. And that's attributed to Zach. Zach has put a lot of time into developing the parks along the river and the amenities that they have there. So he's done a great job, and we miss him. But we got another guy here just as good, right?
Yeah, I'd like to say I wish you would have stuck around long enough to finish what he started when he had that reconsideration on taking that fellow off of civil service. We never have put anybody back on there, have we? On the third, we haven't put. Do we have 3 people on civil service now?
Who are you addressing?
Oh, I'm just addressing the law director or the city manager. You know, it's too bad he couldn't.
Yeah, we're out.
Too bad he couldn't stick around.
No good deed goes unpunished. I tell you, jeez, I give up.
Okay, anybody else have any? All right, if not, roll call.
Braymeyer?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Bariak?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes.
Okay, pass.
Resolution 29-2020, a resolution authorizing the finance director to establish a coronavirus relief fund, a remote technology grant fund, capital improvement AMI metering project fund, and to amend and clarify resolution 50-19 and 20-2020.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Boriak. Discussion.
I'd like to ask the city manager what does this mean to clarify?
What it means, Councilman Bariak, is that the city council has authorized the coronavirus fund and has authorized the AMI meters, and the judge has created the coronavirus technology project. The auditors of the state of Ohio have said city council doing that is wonderful. We embrace what they've done, but we want you to have a separate fund number for those 3 projects. We must have a resolution from city council to create those fund numbers. If you do not pass this, then the state auditor will issue a citation to the city for not satisfying the auditor's requirements. This is their resolution.
Is the remote technology grant fund, is that coming out of the Corona money?
No, that is a separate fund, a project created by Judge Vigorito. That's his project entirely.
That's it? And is there any COVID money going into this?
I'm not sure what you're saying. We're not spending any additional money with this legislation.
No, I mean, what money is going into this? Just the money we voted for the meters and that, sir? And the judge's money and what else?
We're just creating fund numbers. That's all you're doing here. We're not putting money in or taking money out of anything. You're creating a fund number.
Where's the money coming from? From the judge for his site?
There's no money coming from or going to anywhere. You're just creating a fund number.
In other words, the auditor said they each have to have a separate line item. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any comments?
I'm good.
Everybody good? All right, roll call.
Alberini?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Bariak?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes.
Braymeyer?
Yes.
All right, pass.
Resolution 30-2020, a resolution setting a code of conduct for city Facebook postings in accordance with codified ordinance 12103G, 5, and 7.
So moved.
Alberini, do we have a second?
Seconded.
Is that Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion.
You guys want to say something or anything?
I understand.
Mr. Boriak, did you?
Yeah. Mr. Fritz weighed in on this a little bit, but I'd like to weigh in now. There's laws against public censorship. You're not for I'm all for, and I'd like to, right now, after I finish my quick comment, would like to ask that we tweak tweak this resolution to just to take out the bad language, because I've stated numerous times disparaging people and bad language. But I have ACLU right here, Mr. Fritz, and I don't want to read it all. I'll have it but it says we have no right, and Donald Trump beat it on Twitter. And it says the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that the interaction portion of public Facebook is a public forum, so an official cannot block people from it because of opinions they hold. Now, it's a public site. I don't own it. The taxpayers own it. And here's an ACLU, and there's more than one of these, sir, that I feel that we may be getting into something here that's illegal. It says court rules public officials can't block critics on Facebook. And just because we don't like... Go ahead, sir.
May I address Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
You're reading it wrong. We're not blocking anyone. That case law involved blocking someone who is not allowed to get on for any reason whatsoever. We're looking at some sort of modification of the content base. We are not blocking anyone. That case law doesn't apply. Just so you, again, that's my law degree. You're reading it and reading one way, and we're not blocking anybody. We're looking at content base. We're under the most strictest scrutiny, but the content, we've listed out what sort of content is not allowed to be on our website. And everybody that wants to join can do that as long as they don't violate our content. Our content rules will pass scrutiny.
Anything else, Mr. Bariak?
I'll wait for my second comment.
Okay, does anybody have a first address on this?
Yeah, I agree with this 100%. There has to be control. I went on to our friend Brian Kropp's Facebook page and noticed that he has also rules of conduct that people are supposed to adhere to, which they do not. Unfortunately, some of the things in the second paragraph down, it says accusations or suggestions of impropriety or illegal conduct and or comments or attacks of a personal nature by members of the Facebook post and or against members of council or other persons are prohibited. So just so we're aware, and I think everybody out there in Facebook land knows that we are attacked on a daily basis, as Mr. Fritz has said. I'm in the same position as Mr. Fritz, where folks have attacked my business and suggested improprieties. And I will tell those folks unequivocally, if you think you have something, hire a lawyer and spend your own money and let's rock and roll. Other than that, I don't want to hear it anymore, because those accusations on Facebook are extremely false. And I noticed it's only several members up here on council that continue to get attacked, along with Mr. Fritz and Mr. Lynch, and also Pastor Klein as well. So I think there has to be some control. I don't have a problem with people disagreeing with me at all. But when you bring in, as me and the mayor talked earlier, when you start talking about our and Joe Fritz, start talking about our companies or our families or our businesses and things like that, that's crossing the line. You want to criticize me on a decision I've made as councilman, that's fine, that's up to you. But a number of you have crossed that line, and unfortunately, and I'll say this publicly, I have no problem saying this, most of you who have crossed that line don't have jobs, don't work, or on welfare or on food stamps. I'm like over this, so I'm all for this.
Okay, does anybody have a first address down here?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Z.
I'd like to say that I've said the whole time that everyone is entitled to their own opinions, but civility must come first. The only thing this is saying is that the same rules that govern the council meetings, as far as language, as far as not necessarily slandering, but calling councilmen crooks, calling councilmen thieves, same rules apply to the councilmen, that we cannot go on this site and address anyone else according to these guidelines. So this is not just for people posting against us, it's for us also posting against anyone else. It's also just saying that try to stay on topic with what's being discussed. This is not limiting anyone's free speech. This is not stopping anyone from posting their opinion. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and it can be posted, but just do so civilly, as this is a reflection of not just the people posting, but this is a reflection on the town entirely too, because this is a public forum. This is always available for anyone outside of the town to see also. And this also has a reflection on just everyone here in this town for what's going on at that time.
Okay, Mr. Waddell or Ms. Braymeyer, did you have a,
No.
any of you guys want a second? Mr. Bariak?
You know, we didn't have, this site's been on a long time. And I understand, I don't look at Mr. Lynch's morning show, but I will agree that from what I've understood, I've heard, because I don't do Facebook or that there have been some disparaging comments. But we can't stifle somebody's opinion on something about whether he likes what he does or he doesn't. As long as, if he says, I don't believe the guy's got his right mind, am I going to, or they say that about me, hey, that comes with a turd. We just reinstated public comments as long as they weren't disparaging and that. The thing I have wrong with this, we have an administrator. We have one person that's going to say, I don't like that, or I like this, or I like that, I like this. You know, to me, it's infringing on somebody's free speech, and I would vote for it if they would let me amend it tonight just to have vulgarity taken out of it. But because somebody says, I don't like your opinion, I don't like what you're doing, I think you're way off base, I don't feel that we should stop public opinion. This isn't council's site, this is the taxpayers are paying for it.
Second.
Terry, you're not paying for it.
Mr. Bariak, second address, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Bariak, let me explain something real quick, okay? And it's not in my nature to disparage people and call people out. I don't do that. I'm not confrontational. But when the folks on Facebook continually call Mr. Fritz a liar, Mr. Lynch a liar, virtually every morning, that's not freedom of speech. That's way over the top there. Again, if someone wants to say, and by the way, I don't see anything in this ordinance that we're stopping people from expressing their opinion. I don't see that. But as Councilman Zimmerman said, express your opinion and do it civilly. Do it in the right manner, do it in the right spirit. I always look at the intent of the person's heart when they're talking. And let me tell you what, I've seen a lot of spears thrown the last 6 months by a certain group of people that just take pride and joy in tearing people down, tearing our council down, and tearing our administration down. I don't like it. I think there needs to be control. But again, this isn't stopping people from speaking publicly. It's just saying, okay, if you're going to say something,
Yes,
you better.
it is.
No, it's not. You better harness it in.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Bariak, let him finish up here.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm done.
Okay, my understanding, when I questioned on this a little bit, my understanding, because I'm not the sharpest tack in the box, and I admit that, so I need things explained to me quite simply. My understanding is this is sort of, you could say, an extension of how things are done in a council meeting. Individuals have their opportunity to have an opinion. We're going to have public comments coming up here in a little bit where you can comment on anything. Somebody could call in and they could say, you know what, I think the mayor's awful. He does a lousy job. Well, you have every right to say that. Just like you do on our site. But as long as you do it without having abusive language, attack in personal nature, you can't go and say, well, you know what, you're, I'm not going to say some of the things, but, you know, like you said, you know, you can't swear, you can't use, I'm going to take you out behind McDonald's and tear you up or whatever. As long as there's nothing wrong with disagreeing if you do it appropriately.
Kenny, I agree with you 100. That's why I'd like to make a motion that this is amended to just disavow swearing and abuse. It says on Monday, January 19th, 2019, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that interactive portion of a public official's Facebook page is a public forum, so an official cannot block people because of the opinions they hold. And if they say, I feel he's not doing this right, as long as it's not cursing, I think he's idiotic. Are we going to stop everybody from saying their opinion?
Mr. Malik,
I don't care what they do to me. They can say anything they want about me. I don't care. It rolls off me like a duck's back.
What were you going to say to
As a matter of fact,
Mr. Fritz, I want
they
to ask you
don't
a
get
question.
on me for what reason I don't know.
I know they get on us for. They don't leave you out of it for some reason. Mr. Fritz, I want to ask you an opinion.
You got
here.
your own problems.
I don't have any problems. I don't see anything in this language where we're blocking people.
That's correct. What Mr. Barnett keeps repeating is comparing apples to oranges, probably the simplest way. The case law that he wrote, that he cites, actually has been kind of modified by another court on top of that. But to make a long story short, they're arguing about blocking. At the time, our president was blocking individuals, saying, you can't put anything on my Twitter posts. We're not doing that. What we're doing is making sure this, as they suggested, the civility we expect to have in a council meeting. Someone can put in that Attorney Fritz is a fat, bald man. It's a personal attack, but I don't care. But if they say he's a liar and no one should go to him as a lawyer because he's a terrible lawyer, suddenly becomes disparaging personal remarks. I'm very confused on why people believe that any opinion they have to say is a public comment that's protected. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. We can have this conversation for hours, and I don't want it to get there. They have the right to get on Facebook as long as they don't use abusive language, they don't make personal attacks. There's a reason to have a personal attack, to have your opinion about something going on in the city, or saying something disparaging and slanderous against someone. So all we're taking away is the right to do it on our city page. Go out and put it on your own page anytime you want to.
Okay.
I assume that answers your question, sir?
The only question I have here, I think that we're all pretty much in the same page realistically. We're just wording it differently. The second line here, it says off-topic Facebook comments. What do you mean by off? Does that mean off-color? Does that mean?
Thread.
Okay, you have to follow the thread of what's.
Yeah, may I address that?
Sure.
By the way, there are 2 points. I want to address your question in particular, Mr. Chairman. The first one is that the 4th District case and other, 4th Circuit case that you cited and other cases across the country have all said you've got the right to block comments or even delete someone if they violate a standard that has nothing to do with whether you agree with their opinion or not. That case that you cited is where a government official was deleting and blocking people because they disagreed with their opinion. That's a violation of the First Amendment. But if you have objective standards, you have the right to block and delete someone from a city page as long as you have standards that have nothing to do with your agreement or disagreement. That's what that case says. That's what that opinion says. And that's what all the other judges have said as well. The second piece is of the off-topic thing. I want to address that, Mr. Chairman. The Federal Circuit Court out of Arkansas, which is the only court that has addressed the off-topic aspect of things, that's the only source of law we have, has said very specifically, here's the way Facebook works. Someone creates a post, and then other people comment, the public comments.
Yeah.
The city manager creates a post, which might be my morning update, and then members of the public can comment. One of the guidelines the federal courts have said is that the comment should be germane to the post. So, for example, last week on our morning update, we had an interview with the Director of Board of Elections. And then there were several comments that said, why are you wasting our time by telling all these lies? And comments about returning the window to the church. And what the federal courts have said is that the way comments work, it's in response to a post.
Okay.
So that if it's off topic, you've got a right to do that on Facebook. By the way, the judge that wrote that opinion, the only one that addressed this issue, also said, look, people, the Lord says you can have your own Facebook page. Create your own Facebook page.
Okay.
Call Mr. Lynch a liar over there. Talk about the window.
Yeah, I was making sure that I was clear
Mr.
on.
Lynch, when you started your post, it was to be for COVID update.
Yeah.
Now it seems like it's wandered all over.
It is.
Okay?
It is.
All right, well, if you're going to wonder on what you're doing, why don't the other people not be allowed to wonder on what they're saying sometimes, as long as it's not disparaging?
Yeah, I understand. What the court says is that you follow the post. If it's a post about elections, we have a discussion about elections. If it's a post about First Amendment speech, we have comments about First Amendment speech. And if you want to comment on an off-topic thing, go to the John Bariak Facebook page and have at it.
I don't have one.
All right, well,
you
should.
I thought that that's what you meant by off-topic. I was just making sure it wasn't like off-color, which, so basically, you have every right, nobody's being blocked. You're just no abusive, no obscene, no attacks on a personal nature, and if the topic is trick or treat, don't start talking about last night's basketball game.
Exactly.
Other than that, everybody's good. Yeah. So do we have, we got everything we need, roll call.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Bariak?
No.
Waddell?
Abstain.
Braymeyer?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Okay, pass.
Resolution 31-2020, a resolution authorizing the finance director to certify the cost of removal of weeds and grass to the county fiscal officer for collection in the manner provided by law.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Bless you.
I'd like to ask the city manager, how are our collections this year? How are our collections doing?
Pretty well.
Are we having problems? I couldn't hear you.
The answer is we're doing pretty well. We always have problems collecting because sometimes homeowners disappear, they take flight, they move to Mexico, million and one things. But generally speaking, the collections are doing okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, roll call.
Bariak?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes.
Braymeyer?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
All right, pass. Okay, we have a motion here to impose a 3% addition to each time a room is rented for the village for forgiveness of surcharges since annexation. And
I'd like to explain that motion before the council votes on it, to whether to vote yes or no on it, because I don't know if they'll understand.
Well, you made the motion. Can I get a second first?
Yes, they can't explain it to us.
Doesn't need to have a second for me to explain it before.
You can't discuss it without a second.
That's what I thought. That would go under comments. Way before we vote on it, we'll give you the first address. Do we have a second? No second to at least discuss it? Okay. Motion dies then. Next motion is a motion to accept the Finance Department's September monthly report and attachments as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the September finance reports? Okay, roll call.
Waddell?
Yes.
Braymeyer?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Bariak?
Yes.
Pass. Okay. That's it. We're out to public comments. And these are open to any items. Again, name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
There are no requests, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, then I guess we're down to closing remarks. Let me see which... Mr. Alberini, you have anything?
I don't, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Waddell?
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Zimmerman?
No.
Mr. Bariak?
Yes. I'd like to know sometimes whether we've got into something that maybe isn't panning out. The law director said now that we have to go into executive session just to find out whether we're losing or making money. But a councilman put out that he's made over $100,000. Well, he could put that out there, but maybe that's not true. Am I allowed to put that out there? What the reason is this. I didn't promise anybody anything to come in here to annex. And if we're losing money, I know the Port Authority gets a couple percent. As a matter of fact, I talked to Mr. Molinaro over the weekend. And he said, with times being as tough as they are, he said, that's one of the only ways to generate a little bit of money. From what I've been understood, that this was tried to be put on before by our own city manager. I don't want to take anything away from the Port Authority. I don't want to take anything away from Trumbull County. I don't want to take anything away from Braceville. As a matter of fact, even adding 3% on a room, because we have given up a lot of surcharges. You know, motels and hotels use a lot of water and sewer. And one of the easiest ways to generate money, which doesn't come out of the owner's pocket, doesn't come out of our residents' pockets, is the people traveling through for a couple bucks a room aren't going to go down to Warren, or they aren't going to go to Ravenna. If we got into all this annexation, why are we getting into all this annexation if we're not going to profit? And how long is it going to have to take for us to profit or to see our money back? You know, good deeds are good deeds, but that's what I did get a second for my motion, and that's okay. The other couple of things I'd like to bring up tonight real quick. Saturday, October 24th, they're having an October feast at Robbie Lee's from 4 to 8. There'll be good food at 50/50 an auction. And I would like to personally thank all the businesses in town that donated some very, very, very expensive prizes, because what this is about, this is a new organization, 444 the citizens. And we're not a religious-based group, nor are we a strictly charity-based group, but we want to help anybody in the 44444 that if they really need the help, and they'll have to be passed by the board and voted on by the membership, then we're going to help them any way we can. This has been tough on a lot of people. God has blessed me so much that I want to give back a little bit to this community. I don't have a lot, but I'd give anything I could to help this community. The people that need the help, that aren't as fortunate as me, and I believe the rest of the people here feel the same way, that we can help people. That's what it's all about. You want to bring people in the community, that's fine. But we got to take care of the people that are here. And even the people, and it's not just the renters, but there's a lot of people that are falling on hard times right now. So I'd like to, anybody, there'll be tickets. There's tickets available. If they know my phone number, call me. I have some tickets for sale. And Saturday, there's supposed to be a nice thing with the Chamber of Commerce. We're going to get together, have a thing, and there'll probably be tickets available up there. And there's going to be, I know it's going to sound kind of old folks in here, but there's going to be one of the Frankie Yankovic's polka band. And he's a direct grandson of Frank Yankovic, the king of polkas. And it's something a little different. They're going to be Bavarian food. They're a very good Bavarian food member. It's going to be what it's an Oktoberfest. I think he's going to do his famous one that won a Grammy, Polka Polka. Beer barrel polka. But it's just, you come out and have some good music and some good food and some good fellowship. That's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Braymeyer, do you have anything?
No.
No. Okay, Mr. City Manager.
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and I don't have anything to report, so do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I didn't think we were going to get one. I thought we were going to hang out. We have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, roll call.
Braymeyer.
Yes.
Alberini.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Bariak.
Yes.
Waddell.
Okay, meeting adjourned.